Good evening, my friends. Tonight, we're diving into a conversation that's raw, real, and deeply human. A journey into the secret of becoming mentally strong. This isn't about flexing intellectual muscles or pretending we've got it all together. It's about the quiet, gritty work of building resilience, embracing vulnerability, and showing up for ourselves in ways that transform how we live, love, and lead. Mental strength isn't a destination, it's a practice, a way of being that we cultivate through courage, connection, and compassion. So let's unpack this together, piece by piece, over the next hour or so, and discover what it truly means to be mentally strong. First, let's start with what mental strength is not. It's not about being unbreakable or never feeling pain. It's not about suppressing emotions or putting on a stoic face when life throws curveballs. Mental strength isn't the absence of fear, doubt, or struggle. It's the willingness to face those things head on. It's showing up in the arena of your life, even when you're bruised, scared, or unsure, and choosing to keep moving forward. This distinction is critical because we live in a world that often glorifies toughness as invincibility, but true strength lies in our ability to be human, to feel deeply, and to rise again. So, where does this journey begin? It starts with vulnerability. Yes, vulnerability. The thing most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. We equate it with weakness, with exposure, with the risk of being hurt. But here's the secret. Vulnerability is the birthplace of mental strength. It's the courage to say, I'm struggling, or I need help, or I'm not okay right now. When we allow ourselves to be seen, really seen, we open the door to growth, connection, and healing. It's not comfortable, but it's powerful. Let's pause for a moment and think about what vulnerability looks like in our daily lives. It's the parent who admits they don't have all the answers. It's the leader who says, I made a mistake and I'm learning from it. It's the friend who shares their fears instead of hiding behind a smile. These acts of courage, small as they may seem, are the building blocks of mental strength. They require us to let go of the armor we wear to protect ourselves and trust that our authenticity is enough. But vulnerability alone isn't the whole story. Mental strength also demands that we take responsibility for our own narratives. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are, what we're capable of, and why things happen shape our reality. If your inner narrative is one of self-doubt, shame, or blame, it's like trying to run a marathon with weights strapped to your ankles. Becoming mentally strong means rewriting those stories, choosing narratives that empower us, that remind us of our worth, and that give us permission to fail and try again. This process of rewriting isn't easy. It requires us to dig deep, to confront the beliefs we've carried for years, maybe even decades. For some of us, those beliefs were handed down by family, culture, or society. You're not good enough. You have to be perfect to be loved. You can't show weakness. These are the scripts that keep us stuck. Mental strength comes from questioning those scripts, holding them up to the light and asking, is this true? Does this serve me? And then with intention, crafting a new story that aligns with who we want to be. Let's talk about failure for a moment because it's a universal part of the human experience, yet we treat it like a dirty secret. Failure is not the opposite of mental strength, it's a prerequisite. Every time we stumble, we're given a choice to stay down or to get back up. Mental strength is born in those moments of decision when we choose to rise, dust ourselves off, and keep going. It's not about avoiding failure. It's about learning to fail well, with grace, curiosity, and a willingness to grow. Failure teaches us resilience, but only if we let it. Too often, we let failure define us. We internalize it as proof of our inadequacy. But mentally strong people see failure as feedback, not as a verdict. They ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? This shift in perspective is transformative. It turns setbacks into stepping stones and it reminds us that our worth isn't tied to our outcomes, but to our effort and courage. Now let's talk about the role of emotions in mental strength. We live in a culture that often tells us to tough it out or just get over it. But emotions aren't obstacles to strength, they're part of it. Mental strength isn't about numbing our feelings. It's about feeling them fully, naming them, and moving through them. When we suppress our emotions, they don't disappear. They fester and they show up in ways we don't expect, like anger, anxiety, or burnout. Learning to navigate our emotions takes practice. It starts with awareness, pausing to ask, what am I feeling right now? Is it sadness, fear, frustration? Naming our emotions gives us power over them. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, we can see what we're dealing with and we can choose how to respond. This is where mental strength lives, in the space between feeling and action, where we decide to respond with intention rather than react out of habit. And connection is another cornerstone of mental strength. We are wired for belonging, for relationships that remind us we're not alone. But connection requires vulnerability, and it requires us to show up as our true selves, not the polished versions we present to the world. Mentally strong people cultivate relationships that are built on trust, authenticity, and mutual support. They surround themselves with people who lift them up, challenge them, and hold space for their struggle. But connection isn't just about others. It's also about connecting with ourselves. Mental strength grows when we learn to listen to our own needs, to honor our boundaries, and to treat ourselves with the same kindness we'd offer a dear friend. This kind of self-compassion is radical in a world that tells us to hustle, to grind, to always be on. But it's essential. We can't pour from an empty cup, and we can't be mentally strong if we're constantly at war with ourselves. Let's talk about boundaries for a moment, because they're a non-negotiable part of mental strength. Boundaries aren't about keeping people out. They're about creating space for what matters most. They're a way of saying, this is what I value, and this is how I choose to live. Setting boundaries takes courage, especially when we're conditioned to please others or avoid conflict. But mentally strong people know that saying no to what drains them allows them to say yes to what fuels them. Boundaries also protect our energy. Mental strength isn't about pushing through exhaustion or ignoring our limits. It's about recognizing when we need to rest, recharge, and refocus. This might mean turning off your phone for an hour, saying no to an extra commitment, or carving out time for solitude. These acts of self-care aren't selfish, they're the foundation of resilience. Another key to mental strength is letting go of comparison. We live in a world that's constantly tempting us to measure our lives against someone else's highlight reel. Social media, societal expectations, even our own insecurities, they all feed the comparison trap. But comparison is the thief of joy, and it's the enemy of mental strength. When we focus on someone else's path, we lose sight of our own. Mentally strong people run their own race. They celebrate others' successes without diminishing their own. They focus on their growth, their values, and their unique journey. This doesn't mean they're immune to envy or self-doubt. Those are human emotions. But they don't let those feelings derail them. They acknowledge them, reframe them, and keep moving forward. Gratitude is another powerful tool for mental strength. It's not about pretending everything is perfect or ignoring life's challenges. It's about choosing to focus on what's good, even when things are hard. Gratitude shifts our perspective. It reminds us that even in our darkest moments, there are glimmers of light. Whether it's a kind word from a friend, a quiet morning with a cup of coffee, or the simple fact that we're still here, still fighting. Practicing gratitude doesn't mean we ignore pain or injustice. It means we hold space for both, the hard and the beautiful. Mentally strong people know that life is a tapestry of light and shadow, and they choose to weave gratitude into their daily practice. It's a discipline, a habit, a way of training the mind to see possibility, even in the midst of struggle. Let's talk about courage, because it's at the heart of mental strength. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's acting in spite of it. It's speaking up when your voice shakes. It's trying again after a heartbreak. It's choosing to be honest when it would be easier to hide. Every act of courage, no matter how small, strengthens our mental muscles. It's like lifting weights. The more we practice, the stronger we get. But courage isn't just about big, dramatic moments. It's also about the quiet choices we make every day. It's choosing to apologize when we're wrong. It's asking for what we need, even when we're afraid of rejection. It's showing up for therapy, for meditation, for the hard conversations that make us squirm. These everyday acts of courage are what build mental strength over time. Mental strength also requires us to embrace uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and no amount of planning can shield us from that reality. Mentally strong people don't waste energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Instead, they focus on what they can control: their thoughts, their actions, their responses. They lean into uncertainty with curiosity, trusting that they have the resilience to navigate whatever comes their way. This ability to embrace uncertainty is rooted in trust. Trust in ourselves, in our capacity to adapt, and in the unfolding of life itself. It's not about having all the answers. It's about having faith that we'll find our way even when the path is unclear. This kind of trust is a muscle we build through practice, through taking risks, and through learning to let go of the need for certainty. Another piece of the puzzle is self-awareness. Mental strength grows when we know ourselves, our triggers, our patterns, our strengths, and our blind spots. Self-awareness allows us to catch ourselves in moments of reactivity and choose a different path. It's the difference between snapping at someone in frustration and pausing to ask, why am I feeling this way? What do I need right now? Building self-awareness takes time and intention. It might mean journaling, meditating, or seeking feedback from trusted friends or mentors. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes we uncover parts of ourselves we'd rather not see. But that discomfort is where growth happens. Mentally strong people lean into that discomfort, knowing it's the path to greater clarity and resilience. Let's talk about the power of purpose. Mental strength is fueled by a sense of meaning, a reason to keep going even when the road is rough. Purpose doesn't have to be grandiose. It's not about saving the world or achieving fame. It's about knowing what matters to you, whether it's raising kind children, creating art, serving your community, or simply living with integrity. When we're connected to our purpose, we're more resilient. Challenges become opportunities to live out our values, and setbacks become part of a larger story. Mentally strong people anchor themselves in purpose, using it as a compass to guide their decisions and keep them grounded in tough times. Forgiveness is another essential ingredient. This one's tricky because forgiveness doesn't mean excusing harm or pretending it didn't happen. It means choosing to release the grip that resentment has on our hearts. Whether it's forgiving others or forgiving ourselves, this act of letting go frees up energy for healing and growth. It's not about the other person, it's about our own mental strength. Forgiving ourselves is often the hardest part. We carry guilt and shame for mistakes we've made, words we've said, or opportunities we've missed. But mentally strong people know that self-forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves. It's a way of saying, I'm human, I'm learning, and I'm worthy of moving forward. And let's not forget the role of humor in mental strength. Life is heavy sometimes, and laughter is a release valve. It doesn't diminish the seriousness of our struggles. It humanizes them. Mentally strong people know how to find moments of levity, to laugh at their own quirks, to find joy in the absurdity of life. Humor is a reminder that we're not just surviving, we're living. Physical health also plays a role in mental strength. Our minds and bodies are connected, and neglecting one impacts the other. Exercise, sleep, nutrition, these aren't just check boxes on a wellness list. They're acts of self-respect. Mentally strong people prioritize their physical health not out of vanity, but because they know it fuels their resilience and clarity. Another key is learning to ask for help. We've been conditioned to see asking for help as a sign of weakness, but it's the opposite. It takes guts to say, I can't do this alone. Whether it's seeking therapy, leaning on a friend, or hiring a coach, asking for help is a declaration of strength. It's a way of saying, I'm worth investing in and I'm committed to growing. Mentally strong people also practice mindfulness. This doesn't mean sitting cross-legged for hours, though it can. It means being present, fully engaged in the moment, whether it's a conversation, a meal, or a walk in the park. Mindfulness helps us break free from the cycle of worry and rumination, grounding us in the here and now. Let's talk about the importance of letting go of perfectionism. Perfectionism is a trap. It keeps us stuck, afraid to take risks or make mistakes. Mentally strong people embrace good enough. They know that progress, not perfection, is the goal. They're willing to show up, do the work, and trust that their efforts are enough. Another piece of mental strength is learning to celebrate small wins. We're so focused on big goals that we overlook the tiny victories that pave the way. Did you get out of bed today when you didn't want to? That's a win. Did you have a tough conversation with kindness? That's a win. Mentally strong people honor these moments, knowing they add up to a life of resilience. Conflict is another area where mental strength shines. Disagreements are inevitable, but mentally strong people approach them with curiosity and respect. They listen to understand, not to win. They're willing to stand up for their beliefs, but they do so with humility, knowing they don't have all the answers. This approach transforms conflict from a battle into an opportunity for growth. Mental strength also means learning to sit with discomfort. Whether it's grief, uncertainty, or the sting of rejection, we're wired to avoid pain. But mentally strong people know that discomfort is a teacher. They lean into it, not to wallow, but to learn. They trust that on the other side of discomfort is wisdom, strength, and a deeper understanding of themselves. Another key is cultivating hope. Hope isn't blind optimism. It's a belief in possibility, even when the odds seem stacked against us. Mentally strong people nurture hope through action, connection, and gratitude. They remind themselves that no matter how dark the night, the dawn always comes. Let's talk about the role of community. Mental strength isn't a solo endeavor. We need people who see us, who challenge us, who remind us of our strength when we forget. Mentally strong people build communities of support, whether it's family, friends, or chosen family. They know that together we're stronger. Another piece of the puzzle is learning to say, I don't know. In a world that values certainty, admitting uncertainty is a radical act. But mentally strong people are comfortable with not having all the answers. They're curious, open, and willing to learn. This humility is a source of strength, not weakness. Mental strength also requires us to challenge our biases. We all have blind spots, assumptions we make about ourselves, others, or the world. Mentally strong people are willing to question those assumptions, to listen to perspectives that differ from their own, and to grow in the process. This openness makes them more resilient and more connected. Let's talk about the power of rest. In a culture that glorifies hustle, rest is an act of rebellion. But mentally strong people know that rest isn't laziness, it's renewal. They give themselves permission to pause, to recharge, to simply be. This rest fuels their ability to show up fully for life's challenges. Another key is learning to trust the process. Mental strength isn't built overnight. It's a lifelong journey of growth, setbacks, and breakthroughs. Mentally strong people trust that every step, even the painful ones, is part of the process. They don't rush the journey, they embrace it. Mental strength also means owning our choices. We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond. Mentally strong people take responsibility for their decisions, even when the outcomes aren't what they hoped. They learn from their choices and use them to shape a better future. Another piece is learning to embrace change. Change is inevitable, but it's also unsettling. Mentally strong people don't resist change. They lean into it. They see it as an opportunity to grow, to evolve, to become more of who they're meant to be. Let's talk about the role of curiosity. Mentally strong people are curious about themselves, about others, about the world. They ask questions, seek understanding, and approach life with a sense of wonder. This curiosity keeps them open, adaptable, and resilient. Another key is learning to let go of control. We can't control other people, the future, or the past. Mentally strong people focus on what they can control: their thoughts, their actions, their attitude. This shift frees them from the burden of trying to manage the unmanageable. Mental strength also means standing up for what's right, even when it's hard. Whether it's speaking out against injustice or holding ourselves accountable, mentally strong people act with integrity. They know that strength isn't just about personal resilience. It's about making a difference in the world. Another piece is learning to celebrate others. Mentally strong people don't see others' success as a threat. They cheer for their friends, colleagues, and even strangers, knowing that there's enough light for everyone to shine. This generosity of spirit strengthens their own resilience. Let's talk about the power of reflection. Mental strength grows when we take time to look back, to assess our growth, to learn from our experiences. Mentally strong people make space for reflection, whether it's through journaling, meditation, or quiet contemplation. Another key is learning to trust our intuition. In a world that prioritizes logic and data, intuition can feel like a forgotten language. But mentally strong people listen to that inner voice, that gut feeling that guides them when logic alone isn't enough. This trust deepens their resilience and confidence. Mental strength also means embracing our imperfections. We're all beautifully flawed, and those flaws are part of what makes us human. Mentally strong people don't hide their imperfections. They own them. They know that their worth isn't tied to being flawless, but to being real. And another piece is learning to stay grounded in the present. The past can haunt us and the future can overwhelm us, but the present is where life happens. Mentally strong people anchor themselves in the now, finding strength in the moment they're living. Let's talk about the role of faith. Not necessarily religious faith, but faith in something bigger than ourselves. Whether it's faith in love, in humanity, or in the unfolding of life, this belief gives mentally strong people a sense of purpose and resilience. It reminds them that they're part of a larger story. Another key is learning to let go of grudges. Holding on to anger or resentment is like carrying a backpack full of rocks. It weighs us down. Mentally strong people choose to let go, not for the other person, but for themselves. This release is an act of strength, not surrender. Mental strength also means being kind to ourselves. We're often our own harshest critics, But mentally strong people practice self-compassion. They speak to themselves with the same kindness they'd offer a friend, knowing that this gentleness fuels their resilience. Another piece is learning to embrace solitude. In a world that's always connected, solitude is a gift. Mentally strong people make time to be alone, to reflect, to recharge. They know that solitude isn't loneliness, it's a chance to reconnect with themselves. Let's talk about the power of action. Mental strength isn't just about thinking or feeling, it's about doing. Mentally strong people take steps, however small, toward their goals. They know that action, even imperfect action, is the antidote to fear and stagnation. Another key is learning to find balance. Life is a dance between effort and ease, giving and receiving, work and rest. Mentally strong people strive for balance, knowing that it's not about perfection, but about honoring all parts of themselves. Mental strength also means being open to feedback. Growth requires us to listen, to learn, to adjust. Mentally strong people welcome feedback, not as criticism, but as an opportunity to grow. They're secure enough to know that feedback doesn't define them, it refines them. Another piece is learning to trust in our own resilience. We've all survived hard things, heartbreak, loss, failure. Mentally strong people draw on those experiences, reminding themselves, I've been through tough times before and I'll get through this too. This trust is a source of unshakable strength. Let's talk about the role of love. At its core, mental strength is about love. For ourselves, for others, for life itself. Mentally strong people choose love even when it's hard, even when it hurts. They know that love is the ultimate act of courage, the force that binds us together and keeps us going. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to leave you with this. Mental strength is not a gift bestowed on a lucky few. It's a practice, a choice, a way of showing up for life with courage, vulnerability, and heart. It's about embracing your humanity, owning your story, and trusting that you are enough. So my friends, go out there and be strong, not by hiding your struggles, but by facing them. Not by being perfect, but by being real. And not by going it alone, but by connecting with yourself and with others. That's the secret of becoming mentally strong. Thank you.